Hello students, we are in the second semester of our syllabus, and in this semester we are going to study the major literary movements that come up in the different forms of literature. And in American literature, Expressionism is a dominant movement that come up in drama and theater. We are going to study the drama under this term, that is the death of Salzman by Arthur Miller. Before going into the drama, we just need to understand how we can understand the expressionism or expressionism as a technique by the author in the said drama. So let us go through the expressionism as a term. Expressionism, as we have seen, is a German movement in literature, as well as this expressionism also flowed in the other art forms, especially the visual arts like sculpture, painting, various types of portrayals, which was at its height, fullest development in 1910 to 1925. This was the period, as we know, it's just before the First World War, during the First World War 14 to 18, and after a few years the war, First World War. Its chief precursors were artists and writers. We have seen those who incorporated in their visionary and powerfully emotional states of mind that are expressed and transmitted by means of distorted representations of the outer world. Among these precursors in the painting were Vincent van Gogh, Paul Gauguin, Norwegian Edvard Munch. Edvard Munch's lithograph, The Cry, which appeared in 1894, depicted the bleak and stylized background, a tense figure with a contorted face, uttering a kind of a scream of pure horror, and that become epitomize expressionist mode. Prominent literary precursors of the movement in the 19th century were Charles Baudelaire, Arthur Rimbaud, as well as there were certain Russian novelists Fyodor Dostoevsky, the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, and above all the Swedish dramatist August Strindberg, who were the exponent of the Expressionism. Expressionism was never a concerted or a well-defined movement, but it's a group or it's a style of writing. With the central feature is a revolt against the artistic and literary traditions of realism, both in the subject matter and as well as in the style. The expressionist artist and the writers undertakes to express the personal vision, usually troubled and tensely emotional vision of human life and human society. This is by exaggerating and distorting what, according to the norms of artistic realism, the objective features of the world, or embedding violent extremes of mood and feeling. This particular movement, which was very dominantly reflected in the dramatic performances or theatrical performances, and then slowly this type of movement and the features of this presentation and stylistic presentation technique spread into the rest of the parts of Europe. In Germany, we have seen the Jock Kaiser or Stoller were the strong supporters of this expressionism and also the practitioners of this movement. Besides them, Reinhard Sorge, Walter Hassenclever, Hans Henning Jahan, Arnold Braunen are the other significant contributors in the expressionistic vein in the theatre of Germany. The first expressionist play that was performed in Vienna was The Murderer, The Hope of Woman. It's a well-known dramatist, Oskar Kokoschka. It entered into theatre in July 4, 1909. The, the features of this expressionism, as I have told you, it's the mode of presentation, the central feature that is very much sold and a main theme of presentation. The extreme and violent moods of expression, violent moods and feelings often involved that represents the experience of an individual standing alone and afraid in an industrial and technological urban society, which is disintegrating into the chaos. Expressionists, who were radical in their politics, also projected the utopian views of future community in a regenerate world. Expressionist painters tend to use the zagged lines to depict the contorted objects and forms, as well as the expressionist used to substitute the arbitrary and often lurid colors for natural hues. The painters were Emily Nold, Franz Marc, Oskar Kokoschka, and for the time Vasily Kandinsky were the other writers. They departed from the standard meter and syntax and the poetic structure to organize their works around the symbolic images. Expressionist writers of prose fiction were there, and like this, we have seen expressionist writers of prose narratives abandoned the standard modes of characterization and plot for symbolic figures involved in the obsessive world of nightmarish events. Drama was prominent and widely influential form of expressionist writers. Among the best known German playwrights, Georg Kaiser, who used गॅस फ्रॉम मॉर्न टू मिडनाईट ह्या नाटकांमध्ये किंवा अर्नेस्ट टॉलरचा मास मॅन हे नाटक होतं. हे अर्लियर प्रोडक्शन होतं. बर्टोल्ट ब्रेख्ट, हेनरी गिब्सन हे ड्रामॅटिस्ट जे होते त्यांनी अनॉनिमस ह्युमन टाईप्स किंवा इंडिव्हिज्युअलाइज कॅरेक्टर्स हे त्या ठिकाणी वापरले. प्लॉटचा जो एपिसोडिक रेंडरिंग जो होतं ते रिप्लेस करण्यासाठी, रॅपिड अँड ऑसिलेटिंग इमोशनल स्टेट्स एक्सप्रेस करण्यासाठी त्यांनी ह्या सर्व गोष्टींचा वापर त्या ठिकाणी केलेला होता. Often to fragment dialogue into exclamatory and seemingly incoherent sentences and phrases. At the same time, they employ mask, abstract, and lopsided as well as sprawling stage sets. Mask Reinhardt, although not himself in the movement, but he also used number of plays by German writer August Strindberg and German expressionist. He inaugurated such a modern devices as a revolving stage, special effects of light and sound. The stage and the incidents, the theme and the mythic significance became the symbols of the expressionist writers, along with lightning and sound. Eugene O'Neill, the Emperor Jones projected a kind of a symbolic sequence episodes, the individual and racial memories of a terrified modern African American protagonist. Elmer Rice's adding machine also used non-realistic means to present the mechanical and sterile frightening world that is experienced by Mr. Zero. The flexible possibilities of the medium made the motion picture an important vehicle for German expressionism. The, the film, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, represented the ominously distorted settings. Machines, mechanizations are also used to lower on the stage. Insane Asylum, Frederick Marmot's Nosferatu, Fritz Lang's Metropolis are the revivals of this expressionism into the films. This expressionism had begun to flag by 1925 and was finally suppressed by the Nazis or Hitler's say brutality, and it definitely but continued to exert a kind of influence on English as well as American dramas, art and literature, and we recognize this type of things. Great drama was produced by the American dramatic Tennessee Williams. He did a very brilliant success in a street named Car Desire. Arthur Miller, who used The Death of a Salesman, based on the theater of absurd. Allen Ginsberg and other beat writers also expressed this type of say features of expressionism in their dramas that we see here. The people closely related with the movement were Leopold Gessner, symbolist director and designer Edward Galton Craig. Playwrights were Ernest Toller, Reinhard Stoich, Bethel Belk, Sino Cassie, Eugene O'Neill, Eleanor Myers, Tennessee Williams, Arthur Miller, Samuel Beckett, George Trakau, and this list will help you to understand this more clearly. So let us go through these things again. So we will come to know all these features when we study the drama by him. Thank you.